Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video we will be looking at self-report techniques for interviews, which you need to know for AQA A-level psychology in the subtopic of research methods. I hope you enjoy this video and find it helpful. Let's get started. Self-report techniques are non-experimental research method where a researcher asks a participant to give or provide information and details about their opinions, thoughts, feelings, experiences, beliefs and behaviors, usually in relation to a particular topic, responding to questions on a questionnaire, during interview, or self-reporting and recording in a diary or journal. Under the AQA A-level psychology specification, you need to know about two types of self-report tech keys. These include questionnaires and interviews. Interviews. A direct and live social interaction or conversation with a purpose where a set of questions is asked by a trained interviewer to an interviewee to assess their thoughts, experiences, or behaviors. Scheduled in advance, have an asymmetry in outcome goals between interviewer and interviewee, and follow a question-answer format. There are three main types of interviews: structured, unstructured, and semi-structured. The researcher will often record interviews, and the data will be written up as a transcript, a written account of interview questions and answers, which can be analyzed later. Constructing an interview. Recording information. This can be done in various ways, e.g. writing down answers, using a video recorder, using an audio recorder. Ethical issues. Informed consent is needed from the participant for the researcher to obtain and keep the data. The participant should be reminded that their answers will be kept confidential and their privacy and confidentiality will be respected, especially when discussing sensitive topics. Location. A quiet room away from other people is the most appropriate, as this location is likely to get the participant to feel comfortable and open up. Neutral questions. These are usually started with to make the participant feel relaxed and help establish a rapport. Mixed questions. Use a mix of open-ended and closed-ended questions. Semi-structured interviews. Open-ended questions encourage detailed responses, while closed-ended questions can help quantify data. Question sequencing. Organize your questions logically. Start with broader questions to ease the interviewee into the conversation, then move to more specific topics. Setting the tone. Create a comfortable environment that makes the interviewee feel at ease. Consider the setting, tone, and your body language during the interview. This can help build trust and encourage openness. Record responses. Decide how you will document the interview, e.g., notes, video, audio recording. Make sure to inform the interviewee and obtain consent if recording. Structured interviews. Quantitative research method that has a standardized format and involves an interviewer asking an interviewee a set of predetermined and prepared closed-ended questions, exactly read out word for word in the form of an interview schedule. The interviewer will not deviate from the interview schedule or probe beyond the answers received, except to clarify the meaning of the question. Strengths of structured interviews. Consistency. Since structured interviews use a predetermined set of questions, all participants are asked the same questions in the same order. This consistency helps reduce variability in responses and allows for easier comparison across interviews. Reliability. The standardized nature of structured interviews enhances reliability. Researchers can replicate the interview process, which can lead to similar results across different studies or samples. Objectivity. Structured interviews minimize interviewer bias, as the questions and response options are fixed. This objectivity helps ensure that the data collected reflects the participants' views rather than the interviewer's influence. Easier replicate and analysis. Interviews are standardized with a structured format and a fixed set of questions. This makes it easier to facilitate the coding and analysis of responses. Researchers can quickly quantify responses and identify trends or patterns. Time efficiency. Structured interviews are generally quicker to conduct than unstructured ones because they follow a specific format. This can be particularly beneficial when time is limited or when a large number of interviews need to be conducted. Clear focus. The predetermined questions keep the interview focused on specific topics, ensuring that all relevant areas are covered without straying off course. Limitations of structured interviews. Lack of flexibility. Since structured interviews follow a strict format, they do not allow for spontaneous questions or follow-ups. This can limit the depth of information gathered and may prevent the interviewer from exploring interesting topics that arise during the conversation. Surface-level responses. Respondents might provide more superficial answers to structured questions, as they may feel constrained by the format. This can lead to a lack of depth and richness in the data collected. Participant discomfort. Some participants may feel uncomfortable or pressured by the structured nature of the interview, which could affect their willingness to share honest or detailed responses. Limited exploration of complex issues. Certain topics may require a more nuanced discussion that a structured interview cannot accommodate. Complex issues might be oversimplified due to the fixed questions. Unstructured interviews. Qualitative research method that involves an interviewer developing open-ended questions based on a specific research topic as the interview goes along and does not involve a set of predetermined and prepared questions. The interviewer will try to let the interview flow like a natural conversation and will modify their questions to suit the candidate's specific experiences. Strengths of unstructured interviews. Flexibility. Unstructured interviews allow for a more flexible approach, enabling the interviewer to explore topics in depth and adjust questions based on the interviewee's responses. This can lead to richer and more nuanced data. Natural conversation. The informal nature of unstructured interviews can create a comfortable environment for the interviewee, encouraging them to share their thoughts and feelings openly. This can lead to more authentic responses. In-depth insights. Interviewers have the opportunity to probe the interviewee to gain a deeper understanding into specific areas of interest, ask for follow-up questions and for clarity, and allow the interviewee to steer the direction of the interview. This allows the interviewee to talk in some depth, choosing their own words, helping the researcher develop a real sense of a person's understanding of a situation and experience. Discovery of new themes. The open-ended nature of unstructured interviews can lead to the discovery of new themes or issues that the interviewer may not have initially considered, providing valuable information for analysis. Allows the interviewer to build rapport with the interviewee. Interviewers and interviewees are able to foster a strong relationship and connect, making them feel comfortable and reveal more personal and sensitive information and engage in informative discussions. Adaptability. The interview can deviate from the interview schedule, as the interviewers can adapt, change, and tailor their approach based on the interviewee's background and responses, allowing for a more personalized and relevant interview experience. Limitations of unstructured interviews. Lack of standardization. Since there are no set questions, it can be difficult to compare responses across different interviews. This lack of consistency can make it challenging to draw general conclusions. Time-consuming. Unstructured interviews often take longer to conduct and analyze than structured interviews. The open-ended nature means that interviewers may need to spend more time exploring topics in depth. High risk of researcher bias. The interviewer's personal biases and opinions can influence the direction of the conversation, potentially leading to skewed results. This can impact the objectivity of the data collected. Difficulty in data analysis. Analyzing qualitative data from unstructured interviews can be complex and subjective. It requires careful interpretation and can be time-intensive to identify patterns and themes. Potential for irrelevance. The free-flowing nature of unstructured interviews may lead to discussions that stray off topic, which can dilute the focus of the interview and make it harder to gather relevant information. Reliance on interviewer skills. The effectiveness of an unstructured interview heavily depends on the skills of the interviewer. Inexperienced interviewers may struggle to guide the conversation effectively or miss important points. Limited generalizability. Findings from unstructured interviews may not be easily generalizable to larger populations due to the subjective nature of the data and the smaller sample sizes typically involved. Semi-structured interviews. Semi-structured interviews are between structured and unstructured interviews and collect both quantitative and qualitative data. The interviewer prepares a set of the same questions to be answered by all interviewees. Additional questions might be asked during the interview to clarify or expand certain issues. The interviewer has more freedom to digress and probe beyond the answers. The interview guide contains a list of questions and topics that need to be covered during the conversation, usually in a particular order. Strengths of semi-structured interviews. Balance of flexibility and structure. Semi-structured interviews provide a framework of predetermined questions allowing the interviewee to answer on their own terms in an informal setting, whilst also allowing for flexibility in ideas being introduced and the exploration of topics that arise during the conversation. This balance can lead to more comprehensive data collection. Comparability. The use of some standardized questions makes it easier to compare responses across different interviews, facilitating analysis and helping to identify patterns. In-depth responses. Interviewers can probe deeper into specific answers, encouraging interviewees to elaborate on their thoughts and experiences, which can yield richer insights. Adaptability. Interviewers can adapt their approach based on the interviewee's responses, allowing for a more personalized experience while still maintaining a focus on key topics. Improved rapport. The semi-structured format can help build rapport between the interviewer and interviewee, as it encourages a conversational flow while still addressing important questions. Focused exploration. Semi-structured interviews allow interviewers to explore specific themes or issues in greater depth while still maintaining a clear direction for the interview. Efficient data collection. By combining structured questions with open-ended ones, semi-structured interviews can streamline the data collection process, making it both efficient and effective. Limitations of semi-structured interviews. Interviewer bias. The interviewer's personal biases can still influence the direction of the conversation, which may affect the objectivity of the data collected. Variability in data quality. While there is a framework of questions, the quality and depth of responses can vary significantly depending on the interviewer's skills and how effectively they engage with the interviewee. Time-consuming. Analyzing the qualitative data from semi-structured interviews can be time-intensive, as it requires careful interpretation to identify themes and patterns. Limited comparability. Although there are standardized questions, the flexibility in responses can make it challenging to compare data across interviews, especially if some interviewers probe deeper than others. Potential for off-topic discussions. The open-ended nature of some questions can lead to discussions that stray from the main topics, which might dilute the focus of the interview. Need for skilled interviewers. The effectiveness of semi-structured interviews heavily relies on the interviewer's ability to navigate the conversation and probe for deeper insights, requiring training and experience. Limited generalizability. Findings from semi-structured interviews may not be easily generalizable to larger populations due to the subjective nature of the data. Limitations of structured interviews. May not be appropriate for research topics. Interviews can be challenging for researching sensitive topics like truancy or discrimination, as individuals may feel uncomfortable discussing these issues face-to-face. Risk of interviewer effects. An interviewer's perceived status may influence the replies of the respondents. Because an interview is a social interaction, the interviewer's appearance or behavior may influence the respondent's answers. For example, the gender, ethnicity, body language, age, and social status of the interviewer. Expensive and time-consuming. Interviewers need to be employed and trained, which is expensive and time-consuming. Interviewers need to develop and learn certain skills, including the ability to establish rapport and knowing when to probe. Risk of overuse of interviewer self-disclosure. An interviewer may reveal personal information or opinions during the research interview. This may change the dynamics away from the focus of facilitating the interviewee's account and increase the chances of the participant converging opinions with the interviewer. Thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more content like this. Bye.